Welcome to the Changing Earth podcast with Sara F. Hathaway, blending survival fiction and fact to bring you entertaining education that will help you dream, survive, and thrive. And now, here's your host, Sara F. Hathaway.
Hello and welcome back to the Changing Earth podcast. This is episode number 126, season 4, episode 2. Thank you so much for being back with me today. I really appreciate everyone's support out there. It's been so awesome to just get the feedback that I've been getting lately. Everybody's been loving the new season so far, even though we're only one episode in, and just loving the response from my audience. So thank you guys so much for your support. You guys are what keep me going. So today, we kicked off the new season last week. Vince and Erica are headed south on this boat, and they know that Bennett's going to be right behind them. So today we're going to check in with Master Sergeant Bennett and see how he's handling their absence, what he plans on doing about it. One of the first things he does is goes to see if they took Daniel or left Daniel. Bugging out with children is going to be much more difficult than bugging out by yourself as adults. I mean, we can suck it up. Hopefully we're not whiners, that we can suck it up and kind of just know that we have to just keep going on. But children are in a much different place. So here to talk with us today about bugging out with children and some of the considerations we need to think of before we partake in that adventure is Blake Alma. Definitely pleasure to have Blake on the show every time I have him on the show. He's a great guy, doing great things for the outdoor world, and just love seeing the new generation just really getting thrilled about the outdoors and hunting and stuff like that. So I love having Blake on the show, love helping him along his journey. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into Chapter 2 of Battle for the South. Chapter 2. Master Sergeant Bennett, your team is assembled, sir, Corporal Jordan Smith declared to the giant of a man. I'll be there in a moment, the Master Sergeant replied to the young corporal. Bennett noticed Corporal Smith's military cap covering his brown hair was slightly crooked as the corporal turned sharply to leave the room. Bennett decided to let the lapse of uniform code slip. He was too upset to worry about it now. How could I let this happen, he wondered to himself. He was putting himself through hell, knowing he had let her slip away. Again. He'd hoped Erica Moore would be the blade that would cut the fragile thread holding this sickening society together. Bennett plotted with the resistance militia and the mercenary army to bring her home safely from the refugee camp. The plan had worked perfectly. Bennett remembered the first time he had met Erica Moore and her family. They had been brought to the Federal Detention Center in the Las Vegas FEMA camp where he worked as a rehabilitation specialist. His time as a drill sergeant had trained him exceptionally well for this position. Erica had helped to organize and lead a rebellion against the federal forces. A loyal serviceman in the Marines, Bennett cursed the day that the individual branches of the military of the United States had been turned into the federal forces. But there wasn't enough leadership left to maintain them all. When Erica was brought before him, Bennett had no idea that Erica and her family never should have been in the FEMA camp. They were landowners who had gotten lost in the system. Erica and Vince's 2 eldest children had gone through the infertilization procedure. This was what they had rioted about. After Bennett got the Moore family back home, people started talking about her story of government defiance and what their innocent family had faced at the hands of this ruthless system. The federal governing board had brought Vince and Erica to task about the aggressive actions the Moore family had taken against the government during their time in the FEMA camp. But in the end, the board had opted for probation rather than prison camp to appease the minds of millions of citizens watching the proceedings. As a result, the people had elected additional constitutional representative party members to the federal governing board and were questioning the federally controlled system that was currently in place. General McClintock's carefully laid out plan had worked, Bennett recalled, smiling. The resistance had harnessed the woman's publicity perfectly. If it weren't for Brad Dugan's big mouth, Master Sergeant Bennett cursed to the air. Brad Dugan was a young scientist that worked for the mercenaries. He'd informed Erica about the forecasted earthquake coming their way. Bennett shook his head, recalling the memory. He knew Erica well. There's no way she would have stayed in the northern region while her loved ones were in danger in the south, he thought. I couldn't tell her. To make matters worse, Brad had told Erica that Bennett and his commanding officer, Major Cole Burgess, knew about the impending disaster. Erica had tried to talk to Master Sergeant Bennett about the forecast, but Bennett was drunk and had dismissed her. So she had left. Why didn't I just tell her? He argued with himself. Grabbing his pack, he swung the door open in a fury. Corporal Smith was waiting for him outside the door. Sir, Corporal Smith acknowledged him. Let's go, Corporal, the Master Sergeant replied. The two men walked down a small tunnel to a briefing room located in a pod. Each building in the Millilax mercenary training base, besides the gym, was constructed with recycled plastic formed into large ovals that were suspended in the air by 6 legs. The men felt the soft bouncing of the tunnel as they walked down it, and Master Sergeant Bennett could see his shadow cast by the pale light that shined through the accordion plastic composing the tunnel. Bennett was pleased to see the 2 other soldiers waiting for him in the room. Their gear looked properly stowed, and the men were ready for travel. They snapped to attention as he entered, and Bennett was impressed by the sharpness of their salute. He had worked hard to maintain his respect, and he wasn't going to let any one of his men get sloppy. Eddie's men, the Master Sergeant acknowledged them. This is a mission of utmost secrecy. We are tracking Vince and Erica Moore. The eyes of the soldiers widened. That's right. Erica and her husband Vince were transferred to our base to fulfill their probationary requirements. They have fled the base. It is of the utmost importance that we bring them back alive, the Master Sergeant stressed. Sir, Corporal Adam Shaver asked. He was a young, stocky soldier with blonde hair and brown eyes that the Master Sergeant worked out with at the gym. Bennett had chosen him because of his persevering attitude. How was someone on federal probation able to get out of the region? Corporal Shaver wondered. I believe they were able to get past the Border Patrol, posing as stagehands for their son-in-law's band, Bennett explained. The soldiers shook their head in recognition of the band and in agreement with his conclusion. I'm going to take Corporal Smith and go talk with Vince's parents. Vince and Erica are not ones to part with their children, and I've got to know if they took Daniel, their youngest son, or not. If they did, they'll be much easier to find. Corporal Shaver and Sergeant Jensen, go and secure a boat for our departure at the Madison Port in Wisconsin, the Master Sergeant ordered. Yes, sir, the 2 men replied. Dismiss, the Master Sergeant concluded. The men left, headed for a transport that would take them into Wisconsin. Master Sergeant Bennett was headed in the opposite direction with Corporal Smith. Smelling the exhaust thick in the air, they boarded a bus that would take them to the Moore farm. It was already getting hot, and Master Sergeant Bennett started sweating in the vinyl seats. He was relieved to get up and stretch his legs out when they reached the 10,000-acre estate that Vince's parents owned. The lower-ranked soldiers at the guardhouse saluted him as he passed by. Looking left past the guardhouse, he saw the refugee housing pod situated next to a large barn. It was a warm day, and the dirt rose in the air as their boots stomped in the gravel road that led to Earl and Kay Moore's main housing pod. He looked to the right and saw Star and Sean's permanent residence pod by a pad of dirt where Vince and Erica's pod had been. After receiving their probationary sentence, it was moved to the Millilax base. The answer to the lack of farm equipment arrived to take them to the main pod. They boarded the half-bus seats and half-hauling trailer transport. It made a small screeching sound as it powered up from its electrical line and started moving. Bennett marveled at its ingenuity. Even though they were not rare on farms nowadays, these vehicles moved supplies and people across the farm with ease. Master Sergeant Bennett took a deep breath as the transport arrived at the main housing pods. He approached the door and knocked loudly. Kay answered with a large smile on her face. She was a cheerful woman of average height and stature, but when she smiled, She lit up the world with her beauty. Master Sergeant Bennett, Kay commented, rubbing her hands on her apron. She was surprised by his appearance. Come in. Would you like something to drink? No, ma'am, thank you, he replied. Hi, Master Sergeant Bennett, Daniel exclaimed as Bennett entered the pod. Hi, Danny boy. How's the schooling going? Bennett responded, noticing the boy was engaged in math homework. Good, but playing outside would be much funner, he responded. Sounds like you need to keep taking those English classes, Bennett chuckled. I tell you what. What? Daniel wondered eagerly, his blonde hair bouncing as he fidgeted around. His brown eyes looked to Bennett in anticipation. Why don't you take a break for a minute and go get some air for a while so I can talk to your grandma, the Master Sergeant suggested. Can I, Grandma? The boy pleaded. Yes, you can go play, but stay close to the house and I'll call you back in a bit, Kay agreed, knowing Bennett must have something important to discuss. Okay, the boy shouted, flying out the door. What's going on, Master Sergeant? Kay wondered as the door closed. I was surprised to see Daniel here, the Master Sergeant remarked. He's staying here for a couple of nights, Kay explained. Vince and Erica said they received authorization to go hunting for a couple of days to get some alone time. They said they obtained your signature on the documentation. They did, huh? The Master Sergeant chuckled. Where are they, Master Sergeant? Kay insisted. That's what I'm going to find out. I wanted to know if they took Daniel, he explained. Took Daniel where? Daniel asked, opening the door. Daniel! You know better than to eavesdrop outside doors, Kay scolded. Where are my parents, Master Sergeant Bennett? The boy demanded, ignoring his grandmother's scolding. I don't know, Danny, Bennett answered him honestly. I think your mom and dad found out that your Grandma Nancy and their friends in the Las Vegas camp may be in trouble. I think they went to help them. What kind of trouble? Kay wondered. They left me behind, Daniel muttered, drooping his head towards the floor. If they did leave, Danny, they could be in big trouble, Bennett responded, addressing the boy's concerns first. I know your mom and dad, and leaving you would not have been an easy thing for them to do. But taking you into all that danger would have been a stupid decision. They know you are much safer here with your grandparents, Bennett tried to convince him. He had formed a strong bond with the boy during a winter they had spent trapped together in a cabin in Montana. His heart was breaking to see Daniel distraught over his parents' absence. He looked at Kay, hoping she would intervene and console the boy, but she hesitated. You're going to find them, aren't you? Daniel asked. His eyes were filling with tears. I'm going to try, Danny, the Master Sergeant admitted, trying to keep his voice steady. Take me with you, Master Sergeant Bennett, Daniel pleaded. Danny, Bennett stammered, I can't do that, son. Yes, you can. You know I can shoot. You taught me. I promise I won't give you any trouble like my mom. I'll listen to every word you say and do exactly like you tell me, Daniel insisted. The Master Sergeant squatted down to look into the boy's eyes. Daniel, your parents left you here because you're safe here. It was a smart move. Major Burgess will be at the base. I'll be sure to get messages home, but I can't take you, Daniel, the Master Sergeant concluded. The boy lunged into Bennett's arms and hugged him, sobbing. What's going to happen to them when you catch them? Daniel worried. I don't know, Daniel. I guess it depends on how long it takes, Bennett admitted. Danny, your parents love you. And I love you, he told the small boy, squeezing his quaking body. Just bring them home, Master Sergeant, Daniel sobbed. Kay approached the boy and touched him on the shoulder softly. He left Master Sergeant Bennett and clung to the affectionate woman tightly. Bennett rose. What danger is Erica's mother in, Master Sergeant? Kay wondered again, holding Daniel in her arms. I'm not authorized to talk about the details right now, Kay. I'll let you know as soon as I hear anything, he told her as he left through the door. They left the boy. Let's head out, Master Sergeant Bennett said flatly to the corporal as he passed by him. Bennett quickly wiped away a tear from the corner of his eye, hoping Corporal Smith had not noticed. How did I let myself get so close, he wondered. His heart was aching for Daniel, and guilt filled him. I forced them to make this decision. struggling with emotions over his love for this family and his job that he has to do, Master Sergeant Bennett kind of presses on to go after and try and find Vince and Erica and bring them back home safe. In the meantime, Vince and Erica decided to leave Daniel with Vince's parents. Definitely was not an easy decision. It's something they're going to be struggling with for a lot of the story. But, there's reasons that they did it. They're much more stealth without a child, and bugging out with a child can be very, very difficult. So here to talk to us today about the considerations that we need to think of is Blake Alma. Blake has authored many books, one of which is Art of an Outdoorsman. He's an award-winning writer, TV and radio host, and published author. He's also the founder and editor of Art of an Outdoorsman and editor-in-chief at Survivalist Daily. He hosts and produces the Outdoorsman Art radio show and the Outdoor Experience on Hunt Channel. Blake loves and pursues the outdoors and its creator with all that he has. Some of Blake's favorite outdoor activities include survival, trapping, hunting, fishing, and camping. Let's go ahead and welcome Blake to the show. Today I am back with my friend Blake Alma. Blake, thank you so much for taking time out of your day and spending it with me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. I appreciate you having me on the show.
Well, Blake, you've been on my show. You were on last season, so everybody knows who you are, but you got some exciting stuff going on, so why don't we open up with that and just get everybody kind of revved up for what's going on in your world.
Yeah, we were just talking before the show. I don't remember. The last time we talked was a while back. I don't think I had a show then, but we started a TV show called The Outdoor Experience on Hunt Channel. It's an outdoor-based talk show where we talk to guests about the outdoors, mostly outdoor celebrity guests. We just had Jace Robertson with Duck Dynasty on the show. We've had his brother Al Robertson on the show. We've also had his son Reed. We've had Michael Waddell, the Bone Collector from Realtree Road Trips and Bone Collector on the Outdoor Channel. We've had Jenna Waller with Skullbound TV. We've had Nick Munt. We've had some really awesome guests on the show. It's been awesome, enjoyed by talking to them. So that's just some of the newest things that's been going on in my outdoor career. That's fantastic.
So what is the show called, and where can everyone find it?
It's called The Outdoor Experience TV. It airs on the Hunt Channel. It actually airs here in 30 minutes on Mondays at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Live on the Hunt Channel, and then it's on demand on the Hunt Channel. And then, of course, our website for the TV show is outdoorexperiencetv.com.
Excellent. That's so awesome. Congratulations, on that success. We were talking a little bit before the show, and, what a cool experience to get to meet some really fantastic people, just keeping those paths paved for us outdoors people.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's been fun, I'll tell you what.
Yeah. So in this chapter of my story, it's the second chapter. We've got, the family is, Erica and Vince have left on their own. They made a decision not to bring along their young child into basically a bug out situation. So a lot of danger out there. They're on the run from a lot of people. And so I guess it's more of a fugitive situation, actually, right? Rather than a bug out situation. Mm-hmm. But if we're going to bug out, and we're going to bug out with our children, there's a lot of special considerations we got to make, and I knew you were the perfect guy to come to kind of talk about that so we can think about the possibilities of taking the Rugrats with us.
Yeah. I think the first step that you should take is before the actual survival situation happens, is to prep them for the situation and tell them, hey, there may be a day that you need to get ready and have a bag ready that you're going to be carrying on your back for a while, Yeah. Whether it could be in this situation, it could be in this situation, but you need to prep your kids and get them ready for any survival scenario. And so I think, me working in the outdoor / survival industry, I think honestly the best way to get a kid into outdoor stuff and just being ready for a situation of significance would be to teach them survival skills. Before you take them out and harvest a big deer or take them out fishing, I really think the easiest way is to teach them basic bushcraft, whether
Right.
you take them outside and show them how to start a fire or skin a squirrel that you harvested in your own backyard or trap an animal in your own backyard. Just doing some basic stuff in your backyard can really get them ready for something that could happen in the future. I think
It's so
the
true.
pre-prep the pre-prep is probably is more significant than when the actual situation is happening. Because if they're not ready for it, they have no idea what they're going to do, what they're doing, and then they're going to be whining and complaining to you the entire
Right.
time during that situation because they don't know what they're doing. They're not ready for it, and so it is a great way before the situation happens. You need to teach them how to do it, and what's going to happen. Okay, kid, what we need to do, first off, we need to set up an emergency bag for you and put everything that you could possibly need in there. Whether
Right.
we put non-perishable foods in there, or we put first aid gear in there, or their little stuffed doll that they can't live without.
Yep.
You need to have something in there that keeps them going, and you need to teach them, say, hey, if something happens, you need to get this bag. Okay, put it under your bed, and when the day comes, you need to pull this bag out, and we need to leave the house immediately, or whatever. If we're going hiking, you need to take this bag with you.
Right. Yeah, so they understand like the importance of where their bag is and what that means. And I've got to tell you, it makes such sense because I do a lot of planning, obviously, and we're in a really big wildfire zone. So that's something that can happen around our house. And I'm totally prepared for that, But
Yeah.
even my husband was caught a little bit more off guard when the day came that we actually had to evacuate, and my young son, my older son was better. We could just give him direction, But my young son, who was only 5 at the time, and he was scared out of his mind, And I realized that I hadn't really prepared him for what we were going to go through if that situation hit. I just knew exactly what needed to be done.
So let's say the scenario comes down to that you didn't prepare your kid for this situation, It could result in a lot of things, but, if it's super serious, the ultimate result is death,
Right.
which you'll probably, I know we're doing another episode talking about stuff like that, but it's super important that if you're in the survival industry, you're into prepping, you're into outdoor stuff, you're into hunting and whatnot, you need to prepare your kid for a situation that could happen. What if you're in the woods? You teach them to take their bug out bag with them when they go in the woods. Let's say they're in the woods and you somehow accidentally shoot them, or somebody, or like this happens all the time. Another hunter shoots another hunter, whether it's by accident or intentional because they're mad about something, If your kid gets shot and they get shot in the leg or something, they have that material in their bag that you taught them how to get ready for the situation, how to pull out their first aid kit out of their bug out bag and fix that wound. And you teach them how to do that, could be life-saving. If you don't, it's really potentially dangerous.
Even vice versa, too. Like, say the adult is the one who gets injured. I've been injured in martial arts before, and my eldest son was so, freaked out. He was only 10, say, at the time, but he was so freaked out from me getting hurt that he didn't know what to do. Right? So if I would have told him, hey, there's a possibility of this happening, and this is the steps we take when this happens, then he would have been a lot more emotionally prepared for that.
Yeah, definitely. And
that's a really good call. Yeah, even if the adult was the one
people
that
need
was
to be
to
ready.
Get hurt.
Yeah, and you just got to teach your kid to be ready for any situation that could potentially happen. Especially, if you're in the outdoors like me, me and my family's in the outdoors, so I don't really teach them survival stuff. But I go in the woods all the time, and let's say I go out there and I pull back my bow, and my bow just bursts on me. It happens all the time. And one of the pieces of my bow ends up in my arm. I'm out there by myself, Now, we only had 10, 20 acres behind our home, so I could make it back. I could make it back in time. But, if I had a kid, if I had a sibling or somebody out there with me, that I taught them a situation like this could happen and what to do when it happens, it can be very beneficial. So I think it's really important that you prep your kids and get them ready for a serious situation, especially in the outdoors.
And another point on that same avenue is how often do we hear about children getting lost?
Well,
so
all the time.
If you teach them basic navigation, your basic bush skills beforehand, if they were to get lost, they can navigate a little better and they know how to take care of themselves out there.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep,
And then, just all together, it's really important. Like in the 21st century, you have these crazy kooks out there that go out and kidnap kids. You teach your kid how to be ready for a situation like that. It's super beneficial. So, I I can't emphasize the importance of teaching your kid how to prepare for whether it's a wilderness survival situation, urban survival situation, or just any survival situation. You need to teach them these basic skills. It's very important.
Yeah, as parents, sometimes, we don't really want to think about those things happening.
Oh yeah.
So maybe that's why we don't talk to them as much about it as we should. We don't want to like freak them out, you know?
Yeah.
But in the hindsight, if you would have talked about it, then they would already know. So it'd probably be better to just stand up and do that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, go ahead.
So, Blake, if we're in an actual bug out situation now, there's nothing we can do. What's done is done. We're out there in this bug out situation now. How do you see like children on the most part reacting now? I understand everybody's individuals, but how would that like psychologically, what's the child going through in comparison to like how an adult might handle something?
Well, the first thing the kid's going to do is start complaining pretty fast,
Right.
I like, let's say you give them, like, let's say you have a bug. If you don't teach your kid before the situation, you're in error there. But the very least you could do is have a bug out bag ready for him that you have already. You need to at least have that. If you don't have that, I mean, you're going to be in serious trouble. And so you give him this bag, and he's going to start complaining about that he's walking with this 20-pound bag on his back. That's the first thing you're going to see. All right, so he's going to complain. It could ultimately end up with him crying or screaming. If you're in a situation where people are trying to kill you, the kid screaming, being loud, is not going to
be very good. Yes.
So, that's really unfortunate. And so,
I actually learned how to make ether because, if you have like a baby or something like that, and the kid's crying, you can't get found out. I mean, I'd rather knock the kid out than have to, mothers have had to smother kids before. So.
That's what I was going to say. You need to have, sleeping pills or something in your bag, You have something to keep him quiet. And then you're going to have to carry that kid. And so that's just not going to be a fun. And then you have to carry his bug out bag, and then you have your own bug out bag, and then you're carrying your kid.
Yep.
So, the worst thing that they're going to do, outside of them crying the entire time, if you're in the woods, they may start wandering off, and so you really need to tell them, hey, you got to stay close to me. If you don't, you run off, a bear could eat you or something, or somebody could take you.
Out here, a mountain lion,
Yeah, I mean, it just varies on what the situation is,
Yep.
And so I cannot tell you the importance of pre-prepping the kid. I know we've already established that, but you really need to do that because once a situation arrives and you didn't teach your kid anything,
too late.
It could be really bad for you. It's practically too late.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think, if you did not teach your kid about bug out bags and that they have to carry it, you're going to have to, first off, your best bet is to carry it for them. That way they don't whine about it. And so, don't give them their own bag.
Which is going to be really, really tough because all your gear weighs a ton, and then thinking about carrying double for your child is just like, yeah.
Well, it's going to be that. Either you carry it for him or have him carry it and start, or she carry it, and then she starts whining and crying, and then, I mean, you're going to have to do something. I mean, you may have to put your kid to sleep or something. So you're going to have to carry your kid, carry the backpack, and carry your backpack.
That's true.
And so, and so you have that choice of carrying the kid and the bug out bag or just the bug out bag. And so,
yeah, because sometimes even on hikes, they're like, nope, I'm not going any farther. Nope.
Yeah, just start crying, sit on the log and pout,
Yeah, exactly.
So, it's just a unfortunate situation if you don't teach your kid just these basic skills.
So if they're carrying their own bug out bag, what do you think is an appropriate weight for like what age? Of course, it depends on like how much you've basically exercised them and got them used to it. But if you just we're walking out of your house with your average 10-year-old, say, what do you think like a good weight is for them to carry?
Yeah, I'm a big advocate for taking kids to like parks and playgrounds and stuff. So I mean, that's one like on the weekends you take them out there and just let them run wild, and that's a really good way to give them exercise without them complaining, And so beforehand, you should always do that. But of course, it varies on the size of the kid. I mean, I have 7 siblings. The youngest is almost 5, and then I'm the oldest. But 17 to 5, So a 5-year-old, how much can she carry and how long will
Right.
she carry before she starts crying or dragging the bug out bag?
Yeah,
So,
it's hard to carry
I
themselves
think,
at that point.
like, she can't, like, while hauling groceries, and she'll give up carrying a gallon of milk, and like
Right.
she'll to me, wow, I have already 4 gallons in my hand. Then she gives me another one, and so for 5-year-old, it's
8
going to be
pounds is a lot. Yeah.
8 pounds is a lot. It's about a gallon of milk. So I don't know what to say about 5-year-old. I don't know how they'll tolerate. So now if I'm 10 years old, I could probably carry. I mean, they go to school. You have your they
Right,
carry
your
their back
backpack that you got to carry at
already,
school.
which is probably 10 to 20 pounds because the book's in there. So you want to give them something 10 to 20 pounds, and you're gonna put water. If you're gonna put water in your bug out bag, all right, you're gonna have to carry it. You don't give
Yeah.
the kid. Don't have 5 bottles of water in there for him to carry.
Right. You
Just
can
put,
maybe do like an interior camel pack or something like that.
like, yeah, that. Or one of the things I was thinking about before the show, is to take out every. So you're gonna have. I think the best idea when you're in a situation like that, you need to switch the gear in the bug out bags. You can take out the heavy stuff out of the child's bug out bag and put it in yours, and take out your light stuff and put it in theirs.
Oh, fair enough.
Might be good for you.
Yeah,
but
that's not a bad
let's say
idea.
something happens to your kid if he gets lost. Well, there goes some of your gear.
Right.
And so I mean,
yeah.
there's just,
Yeah, that's like my
so
husband carries our 2-man bivvy, but I carry
Yeah.
an emergency tent still, like an emergency tarp tent, just in case we ever got separated,
Yeah. And so I mean, if you're 10 years old, he can carry a backpack, a 10, 15-pound backpack for a while because, of the exercise he gets at school through carrying a backpack. And then, I think you should take kids to parks and stuff, take them
Right.
hiking.
And go out hiking. Get them used to having a pack on now.
Yeah, and not only that, let them run wild on playgrounds.
Right.
That's great exercise without forcing exercise on them. They'll start complaining pretty fast. But if you take them to a park and take them to do something they want to do,
Yep.
that has physical exercise in it, is great for them.
Gotta love those playgrounds. All kinds of monkey bars, climbing stuff everywhere. So.
Yeah.
So what kind of special considerations do you think, like with kids, you're gonna want, like you said in the beginning, that special toy or, what do you think to like brighten their day up, cheer them up?
I mean, a kid could be attached to a blanket or attached to the teddy bear or whatever.
Yeah.
I think what kids really like, of course, is technology and candy. So, when you're in a situation, like, let's say you did not prep your kid and you're out in the woods. All right, you didn't prep your kid for this, and he's complaining and be tired.
Right.
He is not at his, like, he can do more, or the child can do more than where he's at complaining. Like, let's say you're 30 minutes in the hike, okay, and he starts complaining. That is not where he's maxed out at. He can keep walking for another hour or two.
Right.
In order for him to do that, you can maybe bribe him. If you're in a legitimate survival scenario, you want to conserve your battery life on your cell phone. So one of the things, if you're not in that situation, you could let your kids say, hey, in 30 minutes, I'll let you play a quick game of Doodle Jump or whatever on my phone. Like, oh, yay. But if you're in a serious situation, you could have a Hershey bar in your backpack or some gummy bears, It's like, hey, in 30 minutes, I'll give you some gummy bears so you keep going. Yay, let's do it, Or I'll give you your little stuffed toy if you stop crying. Oh, here's your stuffed toy. Let's keep walking now. And so
yeah, that's why I think those little rewards will just be essential.
Yeah. So bringing something that will keep them happy and energized is a great thing to carry in your bug out bag, even though it's going to take up some room in your backpack or in your bug out bag, whatever you want to call it. You need to have those with you, or else, like I said, if your kid starts screaming and some guy's chasing after you guys, he's going to hear it and come after you guys quicker. And so, I cannot. If you do not prep your kids, it's going to be extraordinarily difficult when the actual scenario comes and your kid has no idea what to do. And so, I cannot emphasize the importance enough of teaching your kids just get ready for prepping.
Yeah, keep them involved. Keep them in the game so they know what's going on.
Yeah.
So I always think about shoes too, okay? Like kids' feet grow so quickly, right? And I hate to like spend a ton on hiking boots for my kid when you know they're just going to grow out of them in like 3 months. So I was just wondering if you had any advice as far as like different shoe considerations for them.
Yeah, in my family, we did a lot of, I have eight children in the household, so we have so many hand-me-downs
Right.
that, like, that's not an issue for us at all. But, kids are always growing shoes. My feet are still growing. I'm still growing out shoes,
Right.
And that's a good question. And I think you spending the money on hiking shoes is better than not to spend the money on hiking shoes, especially if the situation happens. It's better safe than sorry. So I would say it'd be a good idea, even if the event doesn't happen. You can always do something else with those shoes. You can donate them, give them to another family. Let's say you have another kid. You have those shoes for the next kid. I think you buying those shoes, even though they may grow out of them one day, is good because it's better safe than sorry. And so
and then like with my older boy, I always save all of his stuff, so I have a couple of sizes up, like you say, in your family, you're handing them down. So I was thinking, even if you didn't, maybe you could invest in the shoe size a couple sizes up, and I would have him carry the next shoe size up as well in his bag. I know it's going to add weight and everything, but it's better than not having shoes when your feet grow just a little bit, which might happen before you know it.
Mm-hmm. And then you always ask your friends before the situation happens, hey, do you have any, I know your son's 10 now, do you have any shoes back when he was 6, 7 years old?
Oh, that's
so
true.
I can give to my children?
Yep.
Like a lot of families will give my family a bunch of clothes. We have 8 kids in our family.
Right.
So all the families know, okay, it's the biggest family. They probably need clothes the most because there's so many kids, they have to wear a lot of clothes because there's so many of them. And so a lot of families will donate their clothes to us.
Well, I'd rather do that. If you give it to Salvation
Yeah.
Army, they're going to turn around and like sell it again and stuff. So I have like this huge box that I'm just looking to give to somebody of like all of Christian's stuff from back when he was an infant to now. So yeah, that's good. Get up on Facebook into one of the groups and they'll have plenty of trading going on. So let's talk a little bit about children and weapons, which is probably a little faux pas in today's PC world. But let's bridge that gap because you're going to need them to carry weapons and they need to understand weapons, in my opinion, from a young age. So what do you think is a good age to start really teaching them, about shooting? And then let's talk about self-defense stuff as well.
So currently there's this big debate in Wisconsin about kids hunting with rifles and stuff at the age of 4 or 5, toddler age, And it's a big debate. It looked, from the looks of it, the last time I saw it, it was looking good for it to be passed, the bill to be passed to allow kids to hunt with firearms, toddlers to hunt with firearms. It looked good the last time I looked. And so I endorse that, but of course some parents think it's the dumbest thing in the world, And so I don't know what the status is as of right now, and so I hope it passed. But I think it is good to teach your kids how to handle a gun, and at the age of 3, 4, 5 years old, buy them a Nerf gun, okay, and teach them how to use that Nerf gun and how not to shoot. Do not aim that Nerf gun at me, but aim that at the squirrel down the street. Just play with it, or aim
or the
at this target.
Yep.
Teach them with that Nerf gun how you would teach them the same way with an actual rifle or an actual pistol. Teach them with that rifle gun as a practice gun for when they use an actual gun. So to start young, 3, 4, 5 years old, and so when the situation comes, like, oh, hey, hold this gun for me. Do not shoot this unless you have to. Just like I taught you with the Nerf gun, And so I think using a Nerf gun or any play gun, is a great way to teach them. Again, now if you didn't prep them, and they have a gun or a firearm or, a bow on them, they're not going to be able to pull back a bow. But if they have a gun on them, you're going to trust them with a gun. That's a very scary situation. What if they accidentally shoot you? What if they accidentally shoot themselves?
Exactly.
So again, that goes back to you have to prep your kids for a situation like this. If you do not, Yeah, that's going to be extraordinarily difficult for you. I mean, the chances of of your kid surviving, I mean, I don't say it's slim, but it's going to be difficult. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, you gotta get them in the ring. I was thinking too to have them as reloaders would be beneficial. You could have them just learn how to reload the magazines, and that way you could keep firing, and they could reload for you.
Yeah, you definitely do that. And
yep. Yeah, I started, with my kids. I started 4 or 5-ish with BB guns.
Yeah,
the BB guns. You don't ever aim those at people. We are teaching them all proper gun skills with the BB guns, and then we just walk up from there.
Yeah, I think BB guns are a great place to start. In fact, that's how I started. I actually don't even own a gun. I don't own a gun at all. Outside air, I mean, I have I don't know, like 8, 9 air guns. Most of them I've got them for free or super cheap. I see them on sale. I was at Walmart and they had a Beeman like dual caliber Quiet Tech rifle. Okay, they're normally like $170. For some reason they're only $25. So I bought like 4 of them.
Nice.
Yeah, I was so shocked. Yeah, I was pretty pumped about that. So I actually went around and resold them for I marked them up quite a bit. But anyway, yeah, they were only
hey, you got to do your entrepreneurship right there.
Yeah, it worked. But I'll tell you what, air guns are great. And, I think, prepping your kid in a survival situation, especially a wilderness survival situation, give them an air gun. If they accidentally shoot you with an air gun, it's going to hurt, but it's not going to cause serious damage.
Right.
But if they shoot a squirrel, a rabbit, a raccoon, heck, even a raccoon, they can kill those animals with a little 177 caliber air gun, or even a 22 caliber air gun.
Yeah, we have a pretty nice air gun. That's a pretty good little sniper rifle. So
make really small air guns these days. They make there was one. It was a Gamma one. I got it for $30 at Walmart. That's like it's like 2 or 3 pounds. It's pretty small.
Nice.
It's super quiet. And so I mean, that
place.
might be a good rifle to give your kid. And they make pistols that go pretty fast too. They make 800 FPS rifles now. I mean, pistols now that cost $90, $100. That sometimes require CO2. Sometimes they don't.
Right.
And so I mean, that might be good. That might be good to have your kid handle in a wilderness survival situation, so that he can hunt squirrel or she can hunt squirrel, rabbit,
little animals.
coon, whatever. I've eaten coon. I've eaten possum. Tastes gross, but if it came down to me,
hey, it's food in your belly.
Coon, yeah, it fills your belly, and
they can feel like a productive part of the group. Like they're really making a difference as well.
Yeah, definitely. And so I mean, I think that might be a good place to start them off with BB gun, like a little Red Ryder, and then work their way up from there. Or you can start off with a Nerf gun and then give them a BB gun, like a Red Ryder or a Daisy Buck, and then give them a 1200 FPS, B-man or a marksman, crossman, whatever. Work their way up, and then you can give them even a 22 caliber firearm, and then maybe give them a 223 or something. I don't know. And so I mean,
then it's game on from there, as long as they're respecting the rules.
Yeah, but again, if you didn't prep your kid for this situation,
yeah, right, exactly.
But, I was just thinking about that. If you did not prep your kid for a situation like this, but you give him a BB gun and air gun that's 800 FPS and he shoots you with it, that's going to hurt, but it's not lethal. It's it might be better to have that than nothing. I don't know, but that was something I was just thinking about. But I think BB guns is a great place to begin as well.
Yeah. What do you think about for self-defense? Well, what do you think age is that children can really start defending themselves as far as it goes?
A 5-year-old can bite someone, or
right.
a guy in the soft place pretty good. I tell you what, my siblings will run up and they're at the height now that they can just run right into me, But,
when it comes down to it, I mean, at 5, you'd have to be pretty darn skilled.
Yeah, a 5-year-old, is not going to succeed at much, but he can't bite, and he can kick and punch in the soft spots, and so you might have. He can maybe hold the guy off for 10, 15 seconds.
That's true, and you can teach him that even the eye gouges and things like that. That would help him.
Exactly, and so you could teach a little kid that. Sure, they're not going to win. There's no way, but it may give you enough time to run over there and save your kid,
Right.
or maybe give them enough time to hit the guy in where, and then the little kid has enough time to run off and hide.
Fair enough. And like you were
so,
saying in the beginning, we live in a crazy world right now with lots of kids being taken and everything like that. So, yeah, you might as well teach them right about that.
I just watched Taken too, the Taken series with Liam Neeson. I have to say.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm
man.
like, I watched the first one and then I couldn't do anymore. But no, we to start taking students around 3, 4 at martial arts, and they don't do too bad, But it was like,
Yeah.
come on, if it really came down to it. But I think you're right. If they could just gain that time or the attention of someone around them, then that would be to their benefit, and that might be the thing that saved them.
Yeah, absolutely. So, there's no. I'm not going to give you an age to start teaching your kids self-defense, but all my siblings, my youngest one's almost 5 years old, knows where to hit me at and
Yep.
where it hurts.
Yep.
I didn't teach her that. She just naturally knows.
No, that's innate. That's younger sibling innateness right there.
Yeah, it's like she'll just run right into me like, boom, ow, that
Uh-huh.
hurt. And so, kids already know that, which is great. So teach them like, hey, if something happens to you, you got to do this. If you don't teach them, again, that goes back to teaching them before the situation happens. You got to teach them. If you don't, they may not know to hold the guy up, where to hit the guy. And so, I mean, it's really important. I mean, I can't tell you enough, but it's super important to teach your kid. And so, that's
Yeah, I like that.
Right
I like the message of just having them primed and ready. That's probably your biggest thing. And like I say, I think as parents, we go, oh, do I really want to talk to them about all this? Because I don't want them to have nightmares or be worried but in the long run, if you didn't say it and now they're in that position, it's going to be a lot tougher than if you did tell them what could happen.
Yeah, I think obviously if you tell them these scary things early, it makes them more mature faster too. Sure, it may not be great at the time. He's going to have nightmares for the next few weeks, but by the time let's say you start teaching your kid at the age of 5 some stuff. By the time he's 7, he's going to be pretty mature for a 7-year-old.
Yeah,
and
fair enough.
So, I mean, I think some of the in the 21st century, there's a lot of parental fails, and I think not teaching them basic survival stuff is it's not good. I think you teach your kids stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So what kind of jobs would you give, like the younger, say you were put in charge of all the kids? What are you going to have them doing?
I would say what would have my sibling, like let's say me and my siblings, we're in the situation, all right, and we're out in the woods, lost completely. I would put my younger siblings probably at the task, as crazy as it sounds. I would the younger ones, I would have them gather materials for a fire or shelter. That seems pretty easy and innocent for them, but they could get lost, and so
right.
That's the crazy, scary part about it. But that would be the
right.
easiest.
Maybe like a team of 2 though, like have them at least together.
Have a team, and that's when back to the self-defense and having a gun on them or having a firearm or a weapon on them.
Yep.
Could be very scary. I know my brother Zach. He's like 6. He just turned 6, and he's a little man. I think he'd survive. I'll tell you what, on his own pretty well. But some kids may not be as strong. Like I was playing. My brother took one of my toys from when I was a kid. I have a box of toys when I was a kid. He took something. He somehow got like this little Halo Mega Bloks figurine, and I tried to grab it from him, and he put up a pretty good fight with me. I'll tell you what. He's trying to get that. So
nice.
I think he'd be one of those kids that could hold off a guy for a little bit.
Yeah, my 6-year-old's a little tank too. He's just a little machine. Yep.
So I mean, I would trust him with going and get my materials. But then by the time they're 8, 9, 10 years old, it might be good to teach them how to small game hunt or set up traps. At the age of 13, 14, I was really into setting up traps. So I smashed my hands quite a few times trying to set up a deadfall trap.
Yeah.
I learned and now I know how to do it. And if the situation comes, I can set up a deadfall trap. No problem. And so, I mean, teach them how to do that. But again, if you don't teach them how to do it,
right.
You're screwed again. So your kids are gonna become dead weight in a way, And so you got to teach your kids just situations like this. I can't tell you enough. I mean, I could go on and on and on, but You don't teach your kids.
How to be really useful and know, like, it's okay. We've got plans for it, and we can make it through it, right? Instead of being like,
Exactly.
what are we doing? And this sucks, and I'm going to complain the whole time and whine the whole time, right?
Right. Yep, right on.
Yep. All right, Blake. Well, you know what? I think we'll just take care of it there because we went through a lot of stuff, and, the gist of it is just start teaching them, right? If they're with you, they're going to understand what to do.
Yep. Yeah, that's really the only thing you can do. And, again, if the situation comes, you teach it for it. There's not a lot I can tell you.
Yeah.
It could be a very scary situation. So, all in all, I can't. Again, I'm gonna say it again. One thing you can take away from this episode on the Changing Earth podcast is that you need to teach your kids basic survival skills in the event that something happens. As a hunter, if I take my brother hunting, I need to show him how to handle a situation if I accidentally shoot myself or fall out of a deer stand or get lost while stalking a big Boone and Crockett deer, And
Yep.
So one thing you take away from this.
Not even only that, but it would help in our real life, in city survival as well. Where if you got somebody strange coming up on you, to be aware of your surroundings, your situational awareness. If they take you, you know what to do. You're not going to just freak out. There's ways to survive, and talking and teaching them that now will prevent bad stuff later.
Right on. Right on.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Blake. My pleasure having you on. I appreciate it a whole bunch.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me.
Thanks, Blake, so much for coming on the show. Some great advice about bugging out with children. Talk to your children. It is hard. We want to shelter them, and we don't really want them to know the horrors that exist in this world. We're afraid they'll have nightmares or things like that. But you know what? If you don't talk to your children and you don't let them know what's out there, then they can get blindsided real easy. So we want to make sure that we're talking to our children, we're preparing our children, and we help them to understand why we do what we do. So it's really important to talk to your children and share in, your prepping, your survival activities with your children so they understand the logic of it. And when they grow up, they can, apply the same principles. You might lose them through the teenage years, but, they'll eventually come back around, hopefully, and apply those principles and teach their children how to survive in a world that might not be, that might not have the technological advances or even more so, so that reliability is just going to get tougher as we go into the future. Definitely, main point, talk to your children. Great show today. Like I said in the opening, I really, really appreciate all your guys' support. It's just so awesome to have my fans out there just loving the work that I do, and it really keeps me going, really keeps my head up high. Chapter 2, you got to see what Master Sergeant Bennett was up to, and that's how I wrote the first half of this book, was we get to see what's happening with Vince and Erica, and then we get to see what's happening with Master Sergeant Bennett. So it's not chapter for chapter all the way through. It's just when it was appropriate to jump back and forth, I did that. And I think it brought a really cool element to the story, and it was a lot of fun to write. We heard from Blake on bugging out with children. Definitely a lot of considerations to take in account there. Make sure they have their own bag and everything ready to go. And make sure they can carry the weight of that bag for a little bit. So thank you again for joining me today. Hope everybody out there stays safe. And remember, dream, survive, thrive.
Thank you for joining Sara for this episode of the Changing Earth podcast. Don't forget to pick up your copy of Day After Disaster, Without Land, and The Walls of Freedom at www.author.sarafhathaway.com. If you love this podcast, please head on over to iTunes or Amazon.com and let everyone know by leaving a review.